Here we are, guys. The classic Mickey pretzel from this little booth right here outside of Kilimanjaro Safaris. Every time I come to Disney, I try to get something in the shape of a Mickey. So here it is, the Mickey pretzel.
Let's go. My name is Chris from Washington. I'll be your safari guide as we explore the Giraffe and Wildlife Reserve together. As the last stop, this does happen to be a very real couple. Also a very real community, a really good. Our road out here does get real bumpy, so it's got to be real important for your safety. Please stay seated, keeping your hands, arms, teeth, and legs inside to protect you out our entire safari. Now we're going to be heading here into the Little Aturi Forest, which is how we're going to begin our 2-week-long safari adventure. That's right, friends, we are going to be out here for the next 2 weeks. Although we are going to have so much fun together, it's going to feel a lot like about 20 minutes. Over on that side, we'll see the Okapi. The Okapi does actually have striped pants, striped leggings, or striped pajamas, which makes it look somewhat like a zebra. But it's actually the second cousin of the giraffe, which you can tell because the shape of the skull is very similar to, albeit just a little bit smaller than that of the giraffe. Over here on that left-hand side, we'll see some beautiful gray antelope without horns. Those gray antelope being that of the greater kudu. The greater kudu are actually the second tallest of the antelope species on the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. They can stand at a height of about 55 inches or 47 inches tall. Up here on this right-hand side, looks like they might actually be building a bit of a nest up here on the right. It's the beautiful black and white bird with an orange bill, which is the saddle-billed stork. Saddle-billed stork does stand at a height of about 5 feet tall, making them roughly 5 inches taller than that of the greater kudu that we just saw. They also have an orange bill shaped somewhat like an English-style saddle, which is how they get their name, the saddle-billed stork. They also have an impressive wingspan of roughly 9 feet long. It's actually about the same length as that of the canopy currently up above your heads. Coming up here on the left, up on top of the rocks in that back, up against that reddish wall on the left, you'll see the black rhinoceros or the black rhino. Now the black rhino does weigh in at up to about 3,000 pounds. It's also got a charging speed of about 35 miles per hour. Makes me very glad that it isn't actually interested in charging at us. And now I'm going to go ahead, and it looks like we're going to be heading out of the Little Aturi Forest. Although we are still going to continue on a rather lengthy journey. We're going to be continuing down into the Safi River. As we head down here into the Safi River, I can already see some beautiful white birds with gray feathers on the island to the right. These white birds being that of the pink-backed pelican. These pelicans actually get their names from a pink coloration which shows up on their extremities during their mating season. And they are colonial nesters, which does mean that both male and female pelican will sit on the egg together at the same time, which I think is just very, very romantic. As you see here on the left down in the water, it's the Nile hippopotamus, or the hippo. The hippo weighs in at up to about 5,500 or 5,500 pounds, making them one of the heaviest animals on the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. A group of hippos is also called a bloat of hippos. The hippo is also a very territorial animal. They will often protect their territory using their incredibly long tusks, which can grow to a length of about 18 inches, or roughly a foot and a half long.
Wow, look at the zip line
sound of a
trail up there
coming up ahead of us. Which sounds like we're coming to the Nile crocodile. The crocodile does grow lengths of up to about 16 feet long, or on average about 12 to 14 feet long.
There's like 5 at least down there, I see. There's like 7 crocodiles over there. That was the bridge. Did you feel like you're gonna fall in there with the crocodiles?
In fact, that's actually one of the reasons that I would encourage that you would never smile at a crocodile. But now we're looks like we're going to be coming here into a change in the foliage, which means that we're going to be getting just a little bit closer to the savannah. I might even go ahead and slowly bring us down into the savannah. We're going to try to see if we can get a nice up close and personal view of each and every single one of all these amazing animals who use the wide open spaces of the savannah as their home.
Yeah. Pick the perfect time they're out here feeding all the animals.
As we head down here, it looks like we can already see a dazzle or a small dazzle of zebras on the right. These zebras here being that of the Hartman's mountain zebra. They are actually one of the smaller species of zebras, but they also happen to have the largest heart out of all zebra species, which is very useful as they will typically live in a high elevation location right in mountainous terrain where the atmosphere does tend to be very, very thin. It also looks like we found the tallest animal in the savannah here on the right side as well.
Yeah.
That being the giraffe. If you were to take a close look at the pattern on that giraffe, you'll notice that the edge to each individual pattern is very sharp and jagged, which is how you can tell it's the Maasai species of giraffe. Now each pattern on a giraffe is unique to the individual, as no two patterns are the same, kind of like our fingerprints.
They're just sitting there together.
I do see coming up here on the left, way in the back by that rock wall in the shade, laying down is my favorite animal in the savannah. The African wild dog, or the African painted dog, or the painted wolves, or their alternate name. They're laying down in the shade, so they're kind of hard to see.
They're laying down.
Painted wolves are very close cousins of the domestic species of dog that you may have at home.
Huh.
So they are, in fact, a canid or canine. Now, sadly, they are an endangered species, as they used to number at about 500,000 roughly 100 years ago. Now today, they number barely 7,000. And actually, if you'd like to help support rebuilding the painted dog population, you can actually go online and donate to the Painted Dog Foundation at their website, paintedDog.org. On the left and the back, you'll see some Rhinos with crocodiles laying in a circle who are the sable antelope. And the sable antelope have special significance to the Harambe Wildlife Reserve, because we use them as the symbol of the Harambe Wildlife Reserve.
Wow, look at them cross the road.
These large horned cattle on the left are the Collie cattle, also called the Watusi cattle. So they are what you see on the left. The horns on their heads may look very heavy, like they're weighing their heads down, but they are actually quite light and honeycombed on the inside, which actually allows blood to flow through their horns. There's a round system on a hot day.
Last time I came, they were eating out of the trees over there.
They're in your car. It looks like we found some more giraffe over here on the right. In fact, a group of giraffe like this is actually called a tower of giraffe. Now, the giraffe is the tallest animal on the savannah. They can actually stand at a height of up to about 20 feet tall, or on average roughly 16 to 18 feet tall. They are also roughly 6 feet tall when they're born. Now, a female giraffe will give birth standing up. So that does mean that a baby giraffe or calf has roughly a 6-foot drop to the ground when it's first born.
Wow.
I like to say the first thing that a baby giraffe feels is actually gravity. But you know, don't
wow, look at them all.
That drop does actually jumpstart.
It's right here.
It's gonna be on your side.
So it works out okay for the baby giraffe.
Look at them.
Of course, the neck on a giraffe is very long, but it's actually got the exact same number of vertebrae that we've got. Roughly 7 vertebrae.
Wow. I got chills.
Obviously, those vertebrae are much larger than our own, accounting for their much longer necks than ours. Oh, now I do see some antelope up here on the right, back through those palm trees. This would be an antelope species called the wildebeest. So the wildebeest are technically an antelope species, where a group of wildebeest is actually called an implausibility of wildebeest. The word wildebeest is actually an Afrikaans word. It does translate loosely into English as the phrase wild beast. So they are simultaneously an antelope and a wild beast. But now we're going to be making our way here into Tembo territory. Now the word Tembo, spelled T-E-M-B-O, is a Swahili word for the elephant.
Wow, look at him.
The elephant is the heaviest animal on land. They do weigh in at up to about 15,000 pounds, or roughly 7.5 tons. They also eat up to about 300 pounds of foliage every single day, which actually caused the elephant to be a bit of a pest problem to a group of farmers over in Kenya. And that's because when the elephants would walk too close to the farmers' crops, they actually would eat what they perceived as a free buffet. Naturally, that's something that those farmers obviously did not like one bit, as they were losing a very large portion of crops to the elephants. And so they wanted to get rid of the elephants. But of course Disney did not want the elephants to lose out on their habitat. So they wound up making use of some special knowledge which they learned about elephants over here on the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. That knowledge being that elephants are in fact afraid of bees. So they took that knowledge over to Kenya, where they built a very special fence around their house called a bee fence, or a bee fence. So now the elephants walk too close to the fence, they still disturb the fence, which disturbs the bees. The bees will then fly out and begin buzzing as they do. And then the elephant, upon hearing that buzz, becomes spooked and scared and will then go around the crops. Now that program also works out nicely for the farmers in the end. So now they know the crop, which is actually the bee's honey. In fact, if you'd like to support that project, you can actually go online and order some of that imported honey from Kenya. Simply looking up the name of the project. It's called the Elephants and Bees Project.
Look at the baby!
A baby elephant here on the left. Looks like she's very small and tiny. It's really only because she's being compared to that other elephant right there next to her. She is actually quite large. I believe she weighs in at up to around 600 or 700 pounds. Wow. So she's a pretty big baby.
Yeah.
Now a group of elephants, like we see on the left side, is actually called one of three possible names. Those names being either a stampede, a herd, or my personal favorite, parade of elephants. A whole bunch over there. Now, elephant society is primarily matriarchal, which does mean that it is typically the eldest female or matriarch who leads the herd. Young males will often leave their mom's herd around the age of 13 or 14 years old, where they will usually form what's called a bachelor herd of just young males. The young bachelors will then fight amongst each other for dominance through what's called a sparring match, with the most
There's some deer over there sitting with them.
Later on being called what's called the alpha male.
This is awesome, going through the water. Yeah. There's some ducks.
Now my friends, it looks like we're going to be making our way here into a bit of a flamboyance. That is a flamboyance of flamingos.
Hidden Mickey.
And these flamingos here are actually the greater flamingo, who are the largest, but also least pink out of all flamingo species. Granted, that's not because they are pink when they hatch. In fact, it's actually because when they hatch, they are either white or gray. They won't get that pink coloration in their feathers until they've eaten just enough beta-carotene and other carotenoids from their shrimp diet. So it is actually the shrimp which turns those flamingos pink. They do also eat a lot of other things, like mollusks, crustaceans, and yes, even algae. So flamingos are in fact a bottom-feeding animal. But now my friends, we're going to be making our way here into myself in the white rhinoceros territory. I don't see the white rhino at the moment, so let's keep our eyes peeled for him. So I spend a lot of time by mud wallows, like the one you see on the left. They often will use a mud wallow as a mud bath. Of course, everyone don't think a mud bath sounds the cleanest, but you know, I guess it works out okay for the white rhino. Now the white rhino does get their name not for their skin color, but for their wide jaw, which is very useful for eating the grass and other foliage which grows on the ground, thus making them a grazing animal. In fact, it was even the Dutch who initially named them, as they called them the wide rhino, using the Dutch word for wide to describe their wide jaw. That word wide was then translated into the Afrikaans language as the word white, which is then mistranslated into English as the word white. So that's how we came out for white rhino. Now did you spot the fastest animal on land over there on the left? That'd be the cheetah.
Cheetah laying down behind the tree.
Cheetah speeds it up to about 60 to 70 miles per hour. They can also go from 0 to 60 in about 3 seconds. It's quite the impressive acceleration. They are, however, a sprinter and not a marathon runner. So they can really only maintain their speed for just a few hundred yards before they need to rest.
Yeah, there's about 4 of them over there by that tree.
Now, a group of cheetah is actually called a coalition of cheetah.
I saw one sprint though.
The cheetah is also a member of the cat family. So actually, just like the domestic cat who we may have at home, they are feline and they do purr, making them actually the only large cat that purrs. Now it looks like we're making our way here into the throne room of the jungle. In fact, I think I can see the king of the jungle over here on his throne lying around.
Wow, look at him.
Now, the lions do spend a majority of their
look at the
days
other one.
anywhere between 16 and 20 hours a day asleep, or on average
In between
about
the
18
rock
hours a
up
day
there.
asleep, which I often like to say is a lion's share of the day. Granted, that's not because they're lazy, as they often use that time to conserve their energy for when they need to hunt. In fact, they're actually most active around the hours of dawn and dusk. Occasionally at night, but that's rare. Although it is, I should actually specify that it is actually the lioness who does all of the hunting.
I did. It's in between the 2 big rocks right there, laying in between the 2.
He stays back and protects his pride.
Who's the female one?
Actually, interestingly enough, between the 2 Lion King movies, I'm talking about the animated classic of the late 90s all the way up to the live-action classic of 2016. Within about that roughly 20-year gap, the lion population was actually reduced by about somewhere between 40 and 50%. So that's a pretty big dropping in that short amount of time. It looks like we're going to be coming here into a warden's outpost or a ranger's post. Now the rangers that are stationed here aren't exactly human, but all that means is communicating with them is a real challenge. As there are very successful rangers who take their job as ranger very seriously. In fact, I even like to say these rangers here are the greatest of all time, or the GOAT. So I'll bring you in, friends, and present to you a small herd of adorable Nigerian dwarf goats whom are acting as our rangers. So they're currently hanging up by that tree. Those goats, if you were to actually look them closely in the eye, you'll notice that they have a rectangular pupil, which gives them a very wide peripheral vision, far wider than an animal with circular pupils such as ourselves would have. That's why I like to say they're very successful rangers. They're also the only animal on the Harambe Wildlife Reserve that you can pet while you're at Disney's Animal Kingdom. In fact, if you'd like to pet one of those goats, all you have to do is make your way into the Harambe Village and look for Raffiki's Planet Watch, which is where you're going to board a short 5-minute train. It's called the Wildlife Express, and will take you into the conservation station. Once at the conservation station, you just need to make a short walk over to the affection section, which is where you'll find an affectional petting zoo that's got the Nigerian dwarf goat, among other animals so you can pet. Now, Looks like we have seen a lot of very cool animals here on the Harambe Wildlife Reserve, and sadly a large number of those animals are suffering from habitat loss due to a lot of society. And we here at Disney are working tirelessly to preserve and protect all animals and their habitats for future generations. And we do that with programs like the Disney Conservation Fund, although we're still need as much help as we can get. I hope to see these awesome animals on your safari inspires you to get involved in any way that you can. Because honestly, if you don't, you really will. If you decide to help Walt Disney's Animal Kingdom, it's actually an easy way to do so. Simply approach any merchandise location in the Harambe Village, as Disney will match any donation given dollar for dollar and cent, effectively doubling your donation, which I think is so cool. Although now it looks like we're nearing the edge of the Harambe, as I recognize that familiar music coming from the Harambe Village. Sadly, that means our time together has been cut a little bit short, unfortunately. Now, if I didn't have any wilderness explorers on board, you're going to want to know that the name of the truck you've been riding on is called the Simba 1. S-I-M-B-A, Simba like the lion, followed by the number 1 like the number, which is how you're going to earn that safari badge a little ways up the trail. Of course, you know, friends, I honestly don't like to say goodbye. That's because that word goodbye is far too sad and far too final. So instead, I'll leave you with the Swahili word of Kwahari. That word Kwahari does translate loosely into English as the phrase of go well. So friends call that will go well, go wild, but of course not too wild, don't make a